I almost forgot to make this video. It's one I've been really excited about making because it's always fun to give updates, good updates, and we're now just 1 week until school starts for our kids. I wanted to do this update, which is about Maggie, who's going to be in 5th grade, which 5th grade, and tell you about some of the awesome things that have been going on with her. The number one thing that I'm sure is the biggest thing is that randomly here and there, she's started to say sentences at the age of 11 years old. It's really cool. And I almost forgot to even tell Paul about it because things have been kind of hectic around here getting everyone ready for school. Paul has been really busy for work. My parents were gone for a few weeks. And so it was just me and the kids all day, every day, including on about 5 hours each day on weekends, plus the full days during the week. And I've definitely been feeling a little bit burnt out, which was why I didn't make very many videos last week. However, this is pretty cool, and I wanted to tell you about it. So the first one is that Maggie started speaking in sentences. Not all the time. I mean, still, there's a lot of like very short phrases or lists of words that she uses really well to express herself, and that's amazing too. But just once in a while, there was a day where she did it about 4 times, where she said entire sentences. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they were like, I want to draw on the paper. And I was like, you want to draw on the paper? Things like that, just an entire sentence with pronouns and prepositions. She did the same thing later that day to Paul, and Paul came into the room at the end of the night and he was like, Maggie said an entire sentence today. I was like, yeah, no, she did it 4 times. I keep forgetting to tell you. She's just randomly breaking out sentences. I think she's doing it more than we're actually realizing, because this morning she was disagreeing with me about something and in a typical 11-year-old way said something under her breath that sounded very much like a complete sentence. I could not understand what it was, but it's pretty awesome. Okay, so the number 2 thing is she somehow managed to get around the Kindle kid restrictions to watch our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is Maggie's very favorite thing to watch. It's been a huge help throughout the pandemic because she likes to watch the day in the life videos of us going through our day. And she spent a lot of time watching us doing fun things that we don't get to do anymore. And the thing was, she usually watches that on the TV. All of a sudden, I saw it playing on her Kindle while the Kindle was in kids mode. And I spent a really long time trying to figure out how she did it because she has 2 Kindles, and I was trying to figure out how to replicate it for the other one, and I couldn't do it. I finally had to download a different app, give permission, and give it to her that way because I couldn't figure out how she possibly could have done it from inside the kids app. She's really good at remembering passwords, seeing people press in pins and passwords and getting them that way. So that's completely and totally a possibility. Maggie is extremely good with technology. And I mean, I'm not a slouch when it comes to keeping up and learning how to do new things, but she intuitively is able to pick up a new device and just make it work. That was pretty cool. I want to just explain this a little bit. People often ask why a lot of autistic kids and adults are so into technology, and everyone is different. You know, an autistic person, you don't know an autistic person. I mean, I'm not saying this is how everyone is, but for a lot of kids, and I think this is true especially with Maggie, a computer's told to do something and there's a set response and there's not variation. It's always the same. If you give the same command, you should be getting the same result. That's pretty cool. When you have a brain that basically makes happy, and for a lot of autistic people, that sort of set, knowing what's going to happen, it's a lot easier for our brains to function that way, and it's a lot easier for our brains to understand always knowing what the response will be, or having a general idea what the response is going to be, and it's not going to change on you. There are rules and parameters that just don't exist in everyday life, and that can make electronics extremely appealing. For a lot of people, that is comfort that can't be found in everyday life. I know a lot of people will probably disagree with this, but if there's a tool like that that's just incredibly valuable at helping a kid who otherwise has self-regulation problems self-regulate, then I would say use it. And that's going to vary from person to person. The amount of screen time each of our kids get varies wildly, from none all the way up to quite a lot. I'm gonna move on because that's not the point of this video. So the next thing, Maggie's brain is really good at time and calendars and also directions. So the directions part isn't as pertinent right now, but for me, it kind of ties in as just one of the extraordinary ways that her mind works. When I used to drive her to school or therapy, as long as I was headed on one of many routes, because this was when we lived in the city too, as long as I was headed in the direction of the place that she wanted us to go, that she knew, that she I guess less wanted, but that she expected us to be going, she would be totally calm and totally fine. If I deviated from that path, if I started going a different direction, and we're talking cardinal directions like north, south, east, west, and I could take different roads, different ways to get there, but as long as I was going in the right direction, it was okay. But if I deviated, then she'd get upset and start asking where we were going. She would know if I went north instead of south. She would be like, what is going on here? You seem confused. She wouldn't say that, but she would definitely get it across. I know it's a little bit different, but it plays into what I'm about to tell you, which is about time and calendars. Maggie has a calendar mode in her brain. She knows what day it is. She knows what time it is. She knows what's supposed to happen. She knows that on Wednesday, Meyer has half off sushi. I think it's not half off anymore, but it's still like $5 sushi. Anyways, Maggie likes sushi. If on Wednesday I'm in the kitchen at 4 o'clock and I say, okay, what am I gonna make? Because I haven't planned ahead, Maggie will be right there next to me saying, sushi. Daddy sushi, call daddy sushi. If on Monday the same thing happens and I haven't started dinner and it's like 4:30, she will come over there and start saying, A&W please, onion rings, A&W, because she knows that A&W has $1 cheeseburgers on Monday and that there's an exponentially bigger chance, if we haven't eaten out in a while, that I might have Paul pick up $1 cheeseburgers with an order of onion rings instead of cooking. And I mean, we don't do these things all the time, but she has it in her brain what the different options are on the different days that I'm more likely to actually do something than just be like, no, we're having spaghetti. No, we're having tuna casserole. No, we're having something else. This all came to a head yesterday with my biggest story. And this is that I made lunch yesterday and Maggie was so upset when she saw lunch. It took me a minute to figure out why. She kept saying, Nanny and Grandpa McDonald's, Nanny and Grandpa McDonald's, Nanny bringing McDonald's. And she asked me probably 100 times and I was like, no, you know, the kids go to Nanny and Grandpa's tomorrow and then we do something with just the 4 of us, because Sadie, Patrick, and James go to my parents' house on Fridays to have a slumber party, and then we do something special with Tessie and Maggie and Paul and I when he gets home from work on Friday nights. And it's kind of a quieter time in the house. It's really good for the girls to just kind of decompress, because when all 5 kids are in the house, it's always loud and it's always rowdy and chaotic. But whenever the group is kind of broken up into different parts, it is a lot calmer and quieter. And everyone really enjoys it being set up that way. So, as I mentioned earlier, my parents were gone actually for a month. While they were gone, obviously the kids weren't going over to their house. The other thing that had started happening earlier in the summer was that every Thursday my mom would come over, my mom and dad, or just my mom would come over, pick Maggie up, go through the drive-thru at McDonald's and take her to their house for them to have special time together. Well, I hadn't thought about that in the last month. Maggie knew both that it was Thursday, which I had basically forgotten, and that Thursdays mean time with Nanny. So all of a sudden it clicked when I went over and called my mom and said, hey, Maggie is upset right now. Do you want to guess why? And she said, is it because today's supposed to be our special day? And I was like, yep. She and Nanny did end up having their special day, and it was pretty cool. They just went out and they actually had a picnic in the car together, and Maggie was thrilled, and then they came home and Nanny hung out with all the kids. But I think it's so amazing that she always knows what time it is. And a lot of times if she's upset about something, I can say, oh no, we're gonna do that at, it's best to give a time, 2 o'clock. And it's 11 right now, so that's still 3 hours away. We just have to wait till 2 o'clock. A lot of times that will go from like upset and distressed to, oh, that's in 3 hours at 2 o'clock. Okay. And she goes about to doing whatever it was that she was doing before. But as someone who oftentimes does not know what day of the week it is, I find it amazing that Maggie knows what day it is without ever being told. It's not like she has a calendar in her room. I wonder if there's access to one on her kid's Kindle, but I'm not really sure. I've never seen her do that. The other thing she's really into right now are cooking shows. She watches a lot of cooking shows, and it's always interesting to see. Sometimes she's watching a cooking show and it's Japanese food, or some other times it's fancy cakes, or other times it's a little kids cooking show. I never know what I'm going to see her watching. I think cooking might definitely be moving up her special interest list, and something we are going to have to get a chance for her to work on hands-on in our kitchen. Oh, the other thing, there's one more thing. High heels. You may notice in all the pictures Maggie is wearing high heels, and when she was little she really loved to wear high heels, and then she stole a pair of my high heels and she was wearing them all the time, and out in public, and I'm a size 8.5. She's more like a 6.5 right now. Some shoes she's a 7, but some she's not even really a 6, so it varies. But anyways, her feet are significantly smaller than mine. That's the point of that whole little rambling whatever. So I finally broke down and I ordered a pair of red high heels in her size from Zulily, and they came and I gave them to her and she like gasped and ripped the shoes she was wearing off, put the new ones on, had me put her foot on my leg and said, "Buckle it, please." And so she's now wearing those high heels a lot. I don't know what's going to happen when school starts, probably sending extra shoes, because she is basically wearing these not insignificant high heels all over the house, and she runs in them. It's pretty funny and cool. It's pretty amazing to watch. Anyways, that is it for today. If you like this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up, and if you're interested in all things autism, which is what we're always talking about around here, I'd love it if you'd hit subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.